we're going to be making this sailboat. So I'll go through making the sailboat, which is the main pen tool part. And then you can finish it yourselves. The book, I get so mad at them. This looks pretty good except for this crazy blob brush tool that they have you put. It just ruins this really nice poster that you've made. But nonetheless, we'll make the actual sailboat together. So the idea here is that you say meet somebody in a bar or whatever, and they draw this out for you and say, can you make that into a poster for me? And of course, we can't print something that's, on a napkin that somebody drew out for us. So we're going to use that as a template and draw on top of it using the pen tool. So that's the basic idea of what we're doing this week. Whereas last week we just had kind of some bad JPEGs. This would be something that literally you could take a picture of it on your phone, bring it into Illustrator, and then make it into a true graphic. Okay, so we're going to say File, New. And this is going to come up. We are going to choose a letter again. Inches is fine. Portrait, when it says orientation portrait, it means landscape or portrait. And everything else here is fine. Go ahead and hit create and give it a second. Now, one thing you want to make sure to do, I always think this one isn't important, but it kind of is. Just say view, fit artboard to window. And if you don't do that, it's just, it's not going to paste on the screen correctly. It's not a huge deal, but yeah, just go ahead and do that. So we're going to say File, Place, and go find this week's stuff that you downloaded. Hopefully you've already got that. If not, you can pause and go download this week's stuff. Okay, so this week it's called Regatta, and the one we need is the sketch. We are going to download it as a template like we did last time, and go ahead and hit place. And it's going to put it right there in the middle of the screen. Okay, and so the book is telling us to, notice that it has put it in a template over here in our layers menu. And the book is telling you to double click on it and change some preferences. Now, that always bothers people. If you double click it in the wrong place, it's not going to open it right. Like if you double click it here, that's not what they want. You can't double click it there. So yeah, if you double click right where the little thumbnail is, that's where it's going to open up preferences. It just wants you to turn off dim images. Because it kind of made it half, and this way you can see it better. It's not a huge deal. Another place you can get preferences is up here in the little hamburger menu. You can say panel options, so that's that'll work. Okay, so now that we've got it and it's not dimmed, we can see what they wanted us to draw and see better what we want. So we know we've already got this template layer, and it locked it for us. The book's trying to keep us organized, so if you double click on the word layer 1, let's go ahead and name that boat drawing. It is good to be organized. If I was working on my own, I doubt I'd be that organized, but that's a good idea. Okay, so at this point we should save this. So if you want to go ahead and save it onto your hard drive somewhere on your computer, call it sailboat. Now I'm going to want this turned in as your last name and Illustrator 2, so I think that would be a good thing to call it. I'm going to go ahead and call it Robert's Illustrator 2. Okay, so we're going to start drawing. Turn off your fill. So like I said, you can either do it right here or you can do it up here. And we just want 1 point black stroke. You can zoom in a little bit if that helps you. Alt, scroll your mouse. Okay. And now this is something that I learned early on. I always like to, the first time you click, just click. Don't click and drag. So just click once. Do not click and drag. The second time you click, click and drag. I always like to keep that first one just normal. Okay. Now let's go ahead and click the next one and drag. And you should be able to get it pretty close. Now I'm going to have to go back and fix that other one over there, but that's okay. We'll fix it. Now I'm going to hit Alt and pull that up a little bit, point the way I want to go, let go of Alt, and keep going. Now this time, do not click and drag, just click. Why? Because we don't want this to be a curve. This needs to be straight. So when you go to the, and if you worked ahead, it's okay. Hit undo, Control Z. And then we're going to go all the way over to this one, and this one is a click drag. Click and drag. And we should be able to get that one. Yeah, we get that one pretty close. All right. So on my first try, that's not too bad. This one is messed up, but that was pretty good. So I'm going to go get the direct selection tool, because remember, the selection tool will select the whole thing. The direct selection tool will select just a point. And then I see that this one is kind of messed up. So now if I start trying to change it to fix this one, oh, it messed up that one. So Control Z. We need to split this. So I'm going to Alt, grab that, and it's going to split it. There we go. And I can move it around a little bit to get these a little bit more precise. That looks pretty good. Okay, so you guys, if you need to pause it until you get this right, go ahead. I got to get this all done here. All right, and we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so we're going to do the sail now. Now, you could do the sail the same way we did that. The book has us doing it a different way, and it's just teaching you different techniques that you can use. So, let's do it the book way so we can learn different ways. So this time we're going to get the pen tool, make sure you have fill off, and we're just going to make a triangle. Do not click and drag, just click. So click once, click again, and then join them together. So we just made a simple triangle. So at this point, we need to change these to be curves. So we can just grab one of them and change it right here. It's now a curve. Another way that you can do it, and the way that the book actually wants you to do it, is if you click and hold down your mouse on the pen tool, you will see here we have an anchor point tool. You can grab the anchor point tool and then click and drag on those, and they become curve points. So you can either do it up here with this convert or over here with the anchor point tool. So once you get those done, we'll be ready to move on to the next thing. I'm going to go ahead and switch mine back to the pen tool so I don't get stuck on the wrong tool. Okay, now we're going to grab the direct selection tool, and we got to fix these things. Well, I know I'm going to have to split these. So that would be Alt. I'm going to go ahead and Alt and split that one. Okay, that's looking good. And remember, you don't have to hit Alt again. It's already split. And we can kind of fix this one. Over here, I need to split this one, Alt. This one. Okay, that's not bad. Pretty good. So now we need to draw these lines. Now, one thing to make sure you do is make sure these lines go outside the borders of what we have already drawn. Make them a lot bigger and your life will be easier. So we're just going to click. Don't click and drag, just click and click. So make it a real big line across there. Now we're still in the pen tool. We're going to hit Alt. And remember, the Alt gets the anchor point tool, but this time, instead of grabbing an anchor point, we're going to grab the path and drag the path down. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to, if you let go of everything, you should be back onto the pen tool. Click, click, Alt to get and grab the path, pull it down. Control, click anywhere off, right, to deselect. Then when you let go of Control, you have the pen tool back. Click, click, Alt, grab the path, Might have to zoom in a little bit to see. Control, click anywhere to deselect. Let go of Control, we're back. Click, click, Alt, grab your path. Control, click anywhere, and one more. Click, click, Alt, come here, Alt, grab the path. All right, I got to zoom in. Remember, that is alternate and scroll your mouse. There we go. And of course, we could sit here and get these perfect. I just don't want to have to do that. I guess I could pause and make them perfect. Here, I'll do that. Okay, so I just spent a little bit of time with the direct selection tool and kind of messing with my handles to make these look a little bit better for you guys. Now realize that if you watch me working, I am always zooming in and out. You got to get kind of used to clicking your Alt button and moving things around, right? And then the space bar gets the hand tool so you can move things around. So that helps a lot. Okay, at this point you probably want to save so you don't lose all your work. So just Control S or File, Save. Okay, so at this point, if we wanted to change each of these to a separate color, which that's what this is, they're telling us C1 means color 1, color 2, color 3, then color 1 again. So we need all of these to be separate colors. But right now, if we tried to do that, put a color in here. Let me get my swatches. It's going to do it in the whole thing because those are not separate little shapes. They look that way to us, but they're not. So we need to tell the computer that these are separate shapes. So the way you do that is we're going to get the selection tool and just click and drag to get all of this stuff in, let go, and now all of this stuff should be selected. And you can tell if you look through the little blue dots, everything is selected. So now we're going to go grab something called the Shape Builder tool. It is this one right here that I'm pointing to, the Shape Builder tool. And basically we're going to go tell it where are the shapes that we want you to do. So you'll see when you hover over, it's kind of seeing different shapes. So literally we're just going to go and say, that is a shape, that is a shape, that is a shape. Now it may not look like it's doing anything, but it is. Once I do that, this is all a group. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just showing you what it did. You see that this is a separate shape. Everything has been all separated into shapes. There's a separate shape. All right, so I'm going to put that back. This is one of the reasons that you had to draw those outside of the bounds of it. So that these would make separate shapes. Now, if you haven't noticed, I've been going into isolation mode. So what isolation mode is, when you are double clicking on, these are all grouped together as one. So when I click on it, everything's all grouped together, everything's grouped together. If you double click on it, it's going to go into isolation mode. So it just isolated this one thing. To get out of isolation mode, you can click the back buttons, or if you just click anywhere outside of here, it will go out of isolation mode. So now that these are all shapes, we can go along and grab all of these little pieces and just delete them. So just click once, delete. And literally you're deleting, I'm just clicking my delete button. So let me go do this real quick and I'll be back. The book says we can draw this one however we want. So either one of those ways that you liked, I'm going to draw it just with a pen tool. Click. Remember, it's always easier to just click the first time. Don't click and drag. This one, click and drag. I'm going to Alt, point that in the right direction, then click and drag. I'll go back and fix that. Alt, point it in the right direction, click and drag. Yeah, I'm just going to fix that in a minute. Yeah, I was zoomed in too far, so actually that's not that bad. And see, I can just kind of fix these a little bit afterwards. Okay, so with the direct selection tool, we need to make it look like we've got some wind. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'll make it look better. I'm going to turn off the eyeball on my template just for a second so we can see better, I think, what's here. So I'm going to get the direct selection tool and I'm going to go find these individual things. So if I click on that anchor point, here is my curve, and I'm just going to make it look like it's poofing up a little bit because that there is wind going through it. Hopefully this is making sense to you. So actually I'm using these the anchor points to do that, but remember we did learn that you could use the anchor point tool here and just grab the path if you want. You can try it like that. So either way, you can either grab the handles or you can use the anchor point tool to just kind of billow those sails out a little bit. So that's as far as I wanted us to go at this point. You are on page 102. At this point, you just have to, let me turn this back on. You just have to finish drawing these pieces down here, fill it in with color. You're going to fill this one in with gradient, and then you'll be able to paste that into the final poster. So you can watch this again if it didn't make any sense. If you get good at this tool, you'll feel like you understand Illustrator a lot better, and you're a real graphic artist if you can do it. So just practice with it, you'll see. It's not that bad.